What is going on, outdoor family? Happy New Year, first and foremost, to each and every one of you guys. It is officially 2022, and this is the first video of the new year. And of course, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name's James. It's good to meet you guys. I've got my brand new Old Town Predator PDL, and this video is going to be the very first time that we get this kayak fully rigged up and take it out on the saltwater and really run it through its paces and test it out, check out all the features of it, and just see how well it performs. So with that being said, the main focus of this video today isn't necessarily going to be catching fish, which I know coming out of my mouth probably sounds really strange. And we're definitely going to bring some fishing rods. I mean, there is potential to catch some trout, maybe even some redfish out here. But the main goal is going to be to really just test out this kayak. I'm going to get it fully rigged up, and we're just going to run it through some tests. You know, things like stability, speed, how well the pedal drive works, maneuverability, how easy it is to get it rigged up, and all that kind of fun stuff. And the main point of the video is just going to be to run through all of those tests and share my experience and my first impressions of this boat with you guys. I'm going to cut the chit chat, get this boat fully rigged up, and that way we can get it out on the water and get this video moving along. All right, kayak's all rigged up, and before we actually back it into the water, I'm gonna go ahead and just get started with the video, and we're gonna touch on the first point that I wanna talk about real briefly, and that's gonna be riggability. How easy is it to get this kayak rigged up, and how well did the manufacturer, Old Town, actually, you know, think it out? Did they put enough spots for you to put your gear? Are the tank walls big enough? And all that kind of fun stuff. So let's take a look at the boat real quick, and then we'll get it in the water. So I've got this thing fully rigged up, and my first impressions on how easy it is to get this boat rigged up are, it's pretty exceptional. If we pop this open, you guys can see I've got my battery in there. I've got all my other electronics, all the cables, and in the back of the boat, down underneath here, if I lift that up, you guys can see that there is another hatch under there that's also more access to the inside of the hull, and that's actually where I have the main Yak Power electronics routed to. So really nice setup, super easy to access the inside of the hull if you want to run power. That's where I've got the Yak Power system actually set up, and you guys can see I do have the interior lights as well as the bow mount lights, and I also have the stern mast light right there as well. So super happy with the inside of the hull. And also you guys can see that they included these plates. There's one on this side, one on that side, and there's also one on each side of the rear. And this is how those plates come from Old Town. They're just bare, there's nothing on them. And these accessory tracks are actually added aftermarket. These are the Yak Attack accessory tracks. But the point that I'm trying to make is Old Town really sets you up with lots of accessory plates where you can mount whatever you want. And the nice thing about these is you can actually remove them. So if you mount something on there, you screw it up, you can take that off and order a brand new one and replace it. And having this option here, you're not actually screwing into your hull, so you don't void your warranty by adding any of this kind of stuff to the kayak. So that is pretty cool. Also up here on the bow, you've got more accessory plates where you can do the same thing. You can mount stuff on here, gear tracks, you can mount camera mounts, whatever you want. And same thing as these, if you screw them up, you can take them off and order new ones and replace them. And the other really cool thing you guys can see here, I've got the transducer cord coming out and running down to the transducer scupper hole down below. And the nice thing about that is this kind of protects the cable, because you're gonna have to cut a hole inside here to run that cable through into the hull of the kayak, because I've got it routed to the battery down there. So the nice thing about these plates here is they just kind of shield that hole from getting a whole bunch of water splashing inside the hole. Other things to note, like in terms of like rigging and storage options, you've got your dry storage right here, great spot for your phone, extra camera batteries, all that kind of good stuff. You've got storage on either side of the hull. Down here you can see there's these little trays, kind of similar to the Hobie Outback models. You can put your Plano box in there, or you can just keep your you know, loose fishing lures in there like I am right now. Other cool features, you guys can see that Old Town actually gives you under seat storage, so that is really nice. I feel like a lot of kayak manufacturers just kind of waste all of the potential underneath this seat, and they don't do anything with it. Obviously you can DIY it yourself, but it's nice to see a kayak company actually putting some kind of storage underneath the seat, and as well as on the back of the seat. Now this isn't dry storage, but I do just have my rain jacket tucked in there just in case. So pretty cool. And then also looking at the rear tank well, plenty of room back here. I mean, it's crazy how much room is in the back of this kayak. Obviously I've got my milk crate set up, plenty of rod storage, as well as the 2 flush mounts that come stock on the boat. We'll talk more about those later. And I've got my tackle bag, I've got a PFD down here, I've got a cast net back here, and there's still more room on the sides where I could put stuff, as well as more little trays tucked up under here. So really a lot of room in that rear tank. Well, they actually give you this rod holder right here, which I have found works very, very well for a 9-foot fly rod. It makes it just to the front of the boat right there. So that is honestly perfect for somebody that loves fly fishing. It sits nice and tucked in there. It's not hanging off the side of the boat. And the way that I have this rigged up as well with my phone holder, it kind of keeps that fly rod from being able to go anywhere. So that is a really cool feature. And finally, they give you your paddle holder down here, so you don't have to add one aftermarket. One last thing that I want to touch on real quick about rigging ability is how easy it is to actually put an anchor trolley system on this kayak. A lot of boats, the anchor trolley cord actually has a tendency to try to slide down the hull, and it ends up in the water out of your reach, which is very annoying. On this boat, the way that the hull is contoured, it just kind of sits perfectly right in this little contour right here, and no matter how much you move it back and forth, it just stays perfectly right in that little contour. So that's an awesome feature as well. So first impressions on riggability of the kayak. I mean, Old Town knocked it out of the park. This thing is so easy to rig up. Even if you leave it completely stock from the factory, you have so many options and so many places to put stuff. So first criteria, riggability is an A+ for me. So now let's get this thing in the water and test out the rest of the things that I'm really looking forward to testing out today, and I'm sure you guys are looking forward to seeing as well. Alrighty guys, we are officially out on the water now, and I'm just gonna cut right to the point. I know the nagging question that you all have, including myself, when we are looking at buying a new fishing kayak, the most important thing, the question that everybody asks is, can you stand up on it? How stable is it? Can you do a fun little dance on the deck of it? And that's what we're gonna find out right now. So I paddled over into this nice calm little section of water here, and we're just gonna see how stable this boat really is. All right, let's first of all, I guess, just see how easy it is to hop up right from the seat without using our hands. The seat is raised enough that without using my hands, I mean, with my knees bent at about a 90-degree angle, I can just hop right up. Well, cool, that felt pretty good. Hopping up from a seated position without using my hands to kind of brace myself, I mean, that felt pretty good. This boat is definitely, like, I can already tell that this boat is 20 times more stable than my old Bass Pro Ascend 12T. I mean, just standing up feels really good. But obviously just standing up on nice, calm, glassy water like this isn't really a good test of stability. So let's start walking all over this boat and seeing how stable it really is. So a big thing for me that I could not do on my old kayak is standing up and then turning around to face the back of the kayak. And even with use of my hands bracing on the side of the kayak, I actually fell in the water several times trying to do that. So let's see if we can stand up and then turn around and reach into the back of the boat. To take it easy the first time, I'll put my foot right in the center of the boat. That way it's nice and balanced. And wow, that was incredibly easy. There's my cast net back there. Let's see if we can get that. Oh, that's not bad at all. That's amazing. Even with both feet standing dead center in the middle of the boat, this thing is extremely stable. With my old boat, I definitely could not do this. I would have been in the water before I even got facing backwards. So that test gets an A+. That's pretty cool. Since I'm already facing this way, I am kind of curious. I am a pretty short guy. I wonder what happens if we raise the center of mass, if the boat will stay stable. So let's climb up on the seat, take our hands off. Wow, that is actually really impressive. That was just kind of an impromptu thing. I didn't plan to do that, haven't tested it out yet. That is incredibly stable. So that's pretty cool. That goes to show you guys, if maybe you're a taller guy, maybe a little bit heavier, higher center of mass, standing up in this boat, you shouldn't really have a problem, at least on calm water like this. So that's pretty cool. All right, well, I'm definitely pretty impressed with that. That was incredibly stable. And since we're testing out stability right now, if you guys can see that boat in the background there, that dude just came rocketing past. And we've got some pretty good rollers coming at us. So why don't we stand up and see if we can take these rollers. So I'm standing up right now. We've got probably about 8-inch to foot rollers coming through right now. Definitely giving me a good rock. Well, that was honestly pretty impressive. Sideways in the boat, perpendicular to those rollers, standing up. I'm impressed. I'm really impressed, guys. This is a pretty stable boat. There is one more test though that I do want to try, and this isn't really a practical test. You would never need to do this, but with how stable this boat is, I do just kind of want to test it out just for the halibut. So let's see what happens. I'm going to see if we can climb up and stand on the front of this thing like a bass boat. I don't know if this is really a good idea or not. Probably not, but you know, I like to have options, and I like to know how stable my boat is. That is impressive. I am standing on the front of this boat right now, and I mean, this thing is stable enough I could fly fish from it standing on the accessory plates on the front of this boat. I mean, this is a stable boat. This is incredible. Wow, I cannot believe this. All right, Old Town. All right. I see you guys. This is a pretty stable boat. I must admit, I am pretty impressed with how stable this boat is on the initial test. Now, I must say, we are in really calm, glassy water, and it's not always going to be perfect conditions like this. So I think what we're going to do to really test out the stability of this boat and see how well it really handles some more rough water is the wind is gusting about 20 miles an hour out at the end of the bayou on the open section of the bay. And I can see from here there are some white caps happening out there. And now that I have tested the stability of the boat out here in this nice, calm, protected section of the bayou, I think it's time to pedal our way out to the end of the bayou and throw this thing at some white caps and see really how stable is this boat and how capable is it of handling a little bit of chop. So let's start pedaling down that way, and we will see exactly how stable the Old Town Predator PDL really is. All right, guys, hopefully you can hear me against all the wind noise. We are at the end of the bayou right now, and it is looking really, really rough out here. I mean, it is windy. There's all kind of white caps. The water's just brown because it's so stirred up and choppy. And we're gonna see if this boat can handle it, which I'm pretty confident that it can. Wow, it is really windy out here. And we're gonna talk about speed in a later criteria in this video. So I'm not gonna like really harp on it now, but one thing I do want to say to you guys is I've got the depth finder going right here, and even straight into the wind with all of this current coming at us, we're doing 4 miles an hour right now, and I'm just like leisurely pedaling. So if that gives you any idea of speed in this boat, I mean, that is pretty incredible. Yeah, got some good rollers out here today. Here's a good one right here. Oh, bow underwater, look at that. Oh, here's a good roller right here. It's gonna break right over the bow. Wham! Oh, look at that. Wow, that is crazy. Woo! It is a rough one out here today, but the kayak is handling it really, really well. I spun around. We've got the rollers coming at us from our back. We've got like a southwest wind today, and we're over on the east side of Escambia Bay right now. So all that wind is just pushing all this water right up here towards us. Just that first little taste of how it handles some really, really choppy conditions. I mean, I'm impressed. Now, obviously, that wasn't pleasant, and I wouldn't want to hang out there and fish, hence why we're returning to the bayou where it's nice and calm. But in terms of if the boat can handle it, Yeah, it can. I mean, some of those swells were between 1 foot and 2 foot, and they were crashing up over the bow. We were rocking back and forth, and even that point where I turned around to come back to the bayou, at the point that I was turning around, I had the kayak 90 degrees perpendicular to those swells, and I wasn't even really doing anything to lean back and forth to kind of counteract them. The kayak was just absorbing it all, and it's like it wasn't even there. I mean, that's pretty crazy. All right, so I'm gonna continue working down to the spot that I wanted to go to, this little like sheltered section of the bayou that kind of wraps around behind where the wind is coming from, and it's protected by a section of trees as well, so it should be some relatively smooth water for us to continue talking about this boat. But we've got probably about a half mile to pedal down there, so this is the perfect time to talk about speed. How fast can this boat go? And that'll also kind of tie into how well does the pedal drive system and the rudder system paired together work, and as well as hull shape, and how does all that kind of combine to make this boat as fast as it is, or as fast as people say it is. I don't know yet, I haven't tested it out, so let's go ahead and do that. I've got the GPS set up so we'll know exactly how fast we're going in miles per hour, and I have a hunch that we could probably travel pretty quick in this boat. I'm not at full power yet, but I am going for it pretty hard. We're at about 5.5 miles an hour right now. All right, let's kick it up to top gear. Oh, I am tired. I am out of shape. Let's set a New Year's resolution right now. I need to lose some weight. But in terms of how the boat handled that speed, I mean, first of all, this is a fast boat. The shape of the hull is, it just cuts like a knife right through this stuff. And that's also part of the reason that it cuts so well through that chop that we were encountering out on the bay there before. But overall, this boat is really quick. At one point we had this thing like just shy of 6 miles an hour, and that is going perpendicular to the wind. So like if we were going with the wind, we probably could have hit like 7 miles an hour depending on how fast the wind was going. And for a kayak, that is pretty impressive. Just as a comparison, my old boat, my Ascend, with a trolling motor on it at full power, would do about 3.5 miles an hour, which, I mean, that's like half of how fast we were going on this boat. That is pretty impressive. And also, talking about the speed of this boat, I mentioned the hull shape. That's obviously really important for cutting through the surf and being able to be safe in those choppy conditions. But the shape of the hull is really why this boat is so fast, and also paired with how the pedal drive is designed. I used to be huge into BMX biking in my teenage years up into my early 20s, so I do know quite a bit about cranks, which are these things right here that connect the drive system to the pedals. And you know, the ratio of you know, the gears inside and how it's all connected to the propeller, as well as the length of the crank system. My first impression of how Old Town designed this system is it's really good. It gets an A+ in my book, and the reason is the cranks are just the right length to where they're not so long that your legs are having to go so much distance that it becomes ineffective and you're getting tired out super fast, and they're not so short that you're going really fast and not getting anywhere. Think of it kind of like a mountain bike where you can switch gears. If you're in like first gear, you're pedaling, it's really easy, but your legs are going really fast and you're not really getting anywhere. And if you're in 7th gear, it's really difficult to pedal. You're going really slow, and yeah, you're moving really fast, but at the same time, you're you're burned out in like 5 seconds. Your heart's pounding, you can't breathe, and that's not good either. So I think Old Town did a really good job with getting that perfect crank length as well as gear ratio made it to the propeller from the pedals. That just makes it really fast. And also, I want to show you guys the prop on this thing real quick. So if I pull this pedal drive system up here, you can see how large the blades on this prop are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So about 12 turns of the propeller blade is 1 turn of the pedals under your feet, and that's a really good ratio. It makes it nice and easy to pedal this boat, and paired with how much surface area is on that prop, It's just the perfect combination to make this a really, really fast boat when paired with, you know, the overall shape of the hull as well. So that is definitely an A+ in my book. Now, with that being said, there is one thing I want to touch on real quick. I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube, and there's one specific YouTuber that has done several videos on this boat, and I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to call anybody out. He seems like a pretty cool dude, but his reviews on this boat, he claims that it's extremely unstable. And then he tries comparing it to the Oldtown Topwater, which is another one of Oldtown's boats that is extremely wide, extremely flat on the bottom, and it's known for its stability. I mean, there's videos of people standing on the side of the boat with both feet jumping up and down, and it will not flip over. And in this guy's video, he's talking about how unstable this boat is, and then he's trying to compare it to the Topwater. And in my opinion, that's kind of a silly comparison, because the Topwater and the Predator are not competing boats. They're not meant to do the same function, which is why Oldtown makes both of them. They are different boats meant for different things. The Topwater is a fantastic boat. It's one of the most stable on the market, but it's a barge. It's not quick. With how stable that boat is, you give up a lot of your speed. And with the Predator, it's the exact opposite. You give a little bit of your stability up for how fast this boat goes. With what I use my boat for, that is exactly what I want. The boat is plenty stable. I mean, I showed that to you guys. This is an extremely stable boat, but you also get the aspect of it being one of the fastest pedal drives on the market. I mean, this boat is quick. We got it to almost 6 miles an hour going perpendicular to a pretty strong wind. I mean, that's pretty impressive for a boat that is also as stable as this boat is. So that's just one thing I want to say. Obviously, I haven't really had a chance to get out and use this thing yet, but just my initial first impressions of this boat is, you know, if you guys are watching those videos and people are like, wow, this thing is unstable, it's not unstable at all. In fact, it's an extremely stable boat, but it's not as stable as the Topwater. And I think that's the thing that people mix up, because this boat is not supposed to be compared to a Topwater. They do two separate things, two separate functions, two totally different boats. That's just my opinion on it. This boat is not an unstable boat, and you also get the awesome aspect of being able to go almost 6 miles an hour, you know, if you're really feeling like it. So that is definitely pretty cool, and I just kind of wanted to touch on that because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation about this being an unstable boat. That's not true. It's not an unstable boat. It's slightly less stable than some boats. There's a difference there, and that is important. Now that we got all that out of the way, I do also want to talk about the quality of the pedal drive. And obviously I don't know like the true quality of the pedal drive, because this is, you know, within the first 3 times that I've used this boat. But what I can say is that the pedal drive feels quality. My first impression of using this pedal drive system, it's smooth. There's no rattles. There's nothing loose on it. The pedals do seem kind of cheesy, but coming from the bicycle world, I am used to my pedals having pegs on them that really grip your shoes. So that's probably all that is. But other than that, the pedal drive itself, how good it feels, the ratio, how the gearing feels, and just the overall build quality of it, it feels excellent. And one other thing that I wanted to make note of on this pedal drive system is this big pod that Oldtown has put on this thing. Now, some people don't like the pod because it's bulky, and when you pull this thing up, it's in the way sometimes. And also you have a giant hole in the bottom of your kayak that you could potentially drop things through. But what I do want to mention about the pod, and I actually really like this pod, it has this hatch right in the middle here, and that's your dry storage hatch. I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. You can put your phone in there, you can put batteries in there, you can put all kind of stuff. So that's a really nice feature to have on that pod. But the thing that I really like about Oldtown's pedal drive system is with that pod on there and that hollow dry storage hatch, this pedal system will actually float. So if you drop this thing in the water, let's say like you pull it up, you're fishing the shallows and you toss it, you know, back behind you in your tank well, you flip the boat, pedal drive's gone on a lot of pedal drive kayaks. But on this kayak, this system will actually float, which for me is a huge positive because I'm known for dropping expensive things in the water. I dropped my wife's Ray-Bans in the lake right before we left Alaska. Right before that, the week before I dropped her Ray-Bans in the lake, I dropped a $400 key fob from her car in the same lake. So that lake claimed about $550 to $600 from us. And a couple months before that, I dropped my old GoPro down an ice fishing hole, and that was like $400. So yeah, I'm known for dropping stuff in the water, so the idea that my $1,000 plus pedal drive will float if I drop it in the water, that gets an A+ in and of itself. So we're still working our way down to our spot. There's one more thing on this boat that I want to talk about, and I want to test out, and that's going to be the rudder system. I want to know how well this rudder works, and we've got some pretty strong tailwind pushing us along right now. So I'm going to kick it into high gear, get the boat moving kind of fast, and then we are going to crank the rudder over and see how well this boat turns. So let's see what happens here. Get going pretty quick, and let's see if we can make a left turn going against the wind. Wow, that is really fast. Woohoo, we got some spray coming over the bow. Doing about 4 miles an hour right now. Wow, that's impressive. Let's go from left to right. So we're full left, let's go full right. Go around this little point here and go back full left. Wow, that is honestly really impressive for how heavy this boat is. You would think that it wouldn't turn on a dime like that, but it turns pretty fast. I'm pretty impressed with how fast this boat turns. It's super easy to manage, and it seems like it stays on course really well. And then over here on the other side, we've got the lever kind of thing here that brings the rudder up and down. So that's super convenient. It seems like it works really well. I haven't had any issues with like tension in the cables or any of that kind of stuff. And overall, first impression of the rudder system, it maneuvers really well, and it's really, really easy to work with, bringing it up and down as well as steering it. So that's pretty cool. That gets an A+ for me as well. All right, so now that we've taken a look at most of the criteria that I kind of wanted to test out and get a feel for on this boat today, we've come to probably the most important criteria that I really want to test out, and that's going to be fishability. How easy is it to actually fish from this kayak? And really the only way that I see fit to actually test that out is going to be to put in the time, fish from this boat, get some lines wet, and you know, try out several different conditions like fishing the weeds, fishing shallows, fishing the deep sections, fishing in the wind. How easy is it to stay on a spot? Things like that. I'm gonna just kind of test it out. We're gonna spend the next several hours fishing from this boat. Hopefully we'll find some fish. If we do, obviously I will show you guys. And if we don't find any fish, that's okay, because that's not the main goal of today anyway. I'll be back with you guys in just a few minutes. Let's go hunt down some fish. Guys, we just got back to the boat launch. I just finished getting the kayak loaded back up on the trailer. I fished for about another 3 hours, and unfortunately we just could not get anything to bite. That's totally okay. Like I've said several times throughout the video, the point of this mission was not to go fishing. The point of this mission was to get the new Old Town Predator PDL out on the saltwater, fully rigged up for the very first time, and just check it out, check the stability, check the maneuverability, check out the pedal drive, see how fast it can go, check it out on that choppy water out on the bay there, and everything that I threw at this boat today, it just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, this thing is absolutely amazing, and literally every single criteria that I came down here today and I wanted to test out, this thing more than exceeded my expectations. It's an incredible boat. First impressions of it, I absolutely love it. and I cannot wait to get it back out on the water again. I'm already like planning the next time we're gonna take it out. So I hope you guys enjoyed coming along on this adventure with me today, and look forward to the next episode, because the next episode is gonna be taking this boat out to the 3 Mile Bridge and catching our very first giant redfish from this boat. So I'm stoked for it. You guys should be too, because it is going to be awesome. Anyway guys, Happy New Year, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next one.